Good evening, Hpem 355. This is Albie here, and today we will be talking about dominant versus non-dominant free throw shooting.
The free throw has become a very relevant shot in the game, and many people have resorted to using their non-dominant hand. So today we're going to go over why the free throw is so important, dominant versus non-dominant. So the question we decided to ask for this project, or this research project, I guess you could say, is whether or not shooting with your non-dominant hand versus your dominant hand has any effect. This topic has been around forever, and people would want to know if they can perform at equal levels with their dominant versus their non-dominant hand. This is very relevant to our field of physical education. What makes the free throw so relevant as physical education majors is that we have to teach skills like this every day in class. A lot of our students come to us and ask us different questions about different skill sets, and free throw shooting has definitely become one of them. Free throw shooting has been around forever, and it's going to continue in the game of basketball. And also, basketball goes back many years, and it is important for students at a young age to learn which hand to shoot with, and definitely which hand to shoot the free throw with, because a lot of times the hand you write with isn't always your dominant hand. So the procedure we decided to use for this research project was 15 test subjects that have never played basketball before in their life, which leads us to believe they don't really know which hand to shoot a free throw with. These high school students aged from 14 to 17, and they were both male and female. So we took our 15 students down to the basketball courts, and we had each of them shoot 15 shots with each hand. After that was done, we recorded it and studied the data. After reflecting on the data, we saw a major difference. So before our reflection was done, we had our students once again shoot 15 free throws, dominant versus non-dominant, but in between we allowed them to take a 2-minute grace period to reflect on what they had just done.
Here is the 5-step process on how to shoot a free throw. Before we did our research, we made sure we showed each of our students this picture and described the exact way on how to shoot a free throw. The acronym we gave our students on how to shoot a free throw was BEEF: balance, elbow, eyes, and follow through. Balance is for their feet to make sure they stay balanced at the line. The elbow is at a 90-degree angle. Eyes are right on the front of the rim. And when shooting, following through, having your hand look like a gooseneck is the correct form on how to shoot a free throw. After all of the data was recorded, here is what we found. The mean is 6.27 for dominant and 2.87 for non-dominant. This includes both males and females. The median is 6.00 for dominant and 2.00 for non-dominant. Also includes male and females. The mode is 7.00 for dominant and 2.00 for non-dominant. Once again, includes male and females. The standard deviation is 3.963 for dominant and 1.552 for non-dominant. The range is 10 for dominant and 5 for non-dominant. What was found continued. The correlation for dominant versus non-dominant is 0.443. This means that it is low, but a positive correlation. And lastly, for the t-test, we compared the male shot versus the female shot, dominant and non-dominant. The males shot better with dominant, whereas the females shot better with non-dominant. The males shot 65% on dominant and 19% on non-dominant, whereas the females shot 35% dominant and 22% non-dominant.
Mike here. This is a frequency statistics chart that shows the mean, median, mode, and standard deviation and range of our data. This is a frequency table for the dominant shot that explains the amount of times shot, how many times that shot was taken, and the percent of the shot. This is a frequency table for the non-dominant shot explaining the same data. This is a histogram showing the comparison between dominant and non-dominant shot. This is a scatter plot showing the same correlation, but with, you can see the positive trend in this graph.
The last question from our research is, what does the study mean? From the measurements, we can conclude that the hand that the student chose as their dominant hand had a higher percentage rate of going in. When shooting with their non-dominant hand, students missed many more shots. A progression could now be shots from further back than the free throw line. The progression would show just how important it is to shoot with your dominant hand over your non-dominant hand.
So like we talked about before, the free throw is an integral part of the game today. And we're going to show you a video of poor free throw shooting and poor free throw shooting form with your dominant hand from an NBA player.
One of two of them both broke out as Andre Jordan comes up with an air ball in his first attempt.
Yeah, you talked about McCollum and Lillard having their moms in with them. I think Mom McHale would have cramped my style a little bit. That's even another error.
As you can see with those two free throws being shot, DeAndre Jordan, the professional basketball player, didn't even hit the net, let alone the rim. So our whole point of doing this experiment was because we saw NBA players like this making millions of dollars, missing the most simple shot in the game, we had to go back and rewind and see why this stuff happens.
Has he been living with me as a 22, 23-year-old, 24-year-old guy in the NBA?
Two air balls from DeAndre Jordan, which this crowd has a good. They've been here since like 5:30 this morning, filming this version.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Celebrity Apprentice. Pablo
Spates will get his opportunity with no motive. And I know what you're saying, but it still sounds funny. Jermaine O'Neal at his advanced age at 35. I wish I had that advanced stage right now.
You're absolutely right. Oh, Jordan throws up an air ball. He hit his first one.
So when we decided to choose the question of what hand do you shoot better with, dominant or non-dominant, we all had a really good idea that dominant would come out on top. With that being said, I think that we were really surprised when we saw females shoot a pretty high percentage with non-dominant as opposed to their dominant. They were only 10% off from their dominant hand, as opposed to the males that were 40% off from dominant to non-dominant. So overall, an overview is that when we posed this question, we really believed that dominant would prevail, and it did. But with that being said, we also learned a lot of different things in the works.